Welcome to Larford Lakes. We've got 66 anglers competing over 2 days across 3 lakes for a first prize of £10,000.
Any end peg or arena? Arena fished really well yesterday. Fish caught all over the place. It was absolutely bang on in there.
No, well, Spessy Burr, I reckon, yes.
Yeah,
Spessy Burr's where there's a lot of fish have been. Jamie's been really good, but different day, no wind, flat calm. Who knows what? I'd take Spessy Burr.
Yeah, Spessy Burr, match grass bank. Spessy Burr didn't really fish, but the sections are in a line, so we're looking for a section win. So yeah.
Or arena.
Yeah, arena, fantastic.
Arena.
Day 1 is a random draw, so anglers have the chance of drawing on the Carp and F1 dominated Match Lake, the larger, deeper, more diverse Spessy Lake, and the smaller, in-form Arena Lake.
George Parker's peg, absolute flyer. Peg
Number
4 Spessy.
4 Spessy.
£160 guess he made.
Anywhere else?
I think there's a lot of areas that you want to avoid. I don't think you can actually pick a peg other than George's yesterday that's obviously had a massive weight.
Match grass 12.
Match grass 12.
Any good?
No, it's Charlie Bank, 43.
Adam Wakely. Spessy Shelley 30. Colborne Field. Match Burr 28.
I don't know, I'm trying to find out if it's end or not. I was just down from there yesterday, so I only had 2 bites yesterday, and the section was only one with £50, and I would have had 30 odd if I landed them, so it's quite a tough section to be in, but it's quite fair.
We've been fishing 15 minutes and it's clear to see that Arena Lake is fishing far better than the rest of the complex. We've seen Taylor down at this end of the Match Lake on Grass Bank. We've seen him get a fish. That looks like, is that Phil Ringer who's playing a fish? Small fish. Yep, on the method feeder. Phil was on this lake yesterday in the practice match, and he's fully aware that this section fished hard. It took just £44 to win this bottom section yesterday, so Phil is very much aware that he might not need many bites today. We've also just had reports that there's been 1 fish caught over on the Match Burr. Steve Hanrahan apparently has had a fish, but it's very, very clear that Match Lake and Spessy Lake over at the back there is fishing much harder than Arena. We've seen several fish caught on Arena in the first few minutes, so whilst that lake has got off to a better start, it doesn't really apply to these anglers here, because these anglers are only fishing against the anglers around them. It's all about section points. Currently behind Jeff on this end peg. As you can see, he's fishing short. We've been fishing about 25 minutes and this section is fishing very, very hard. There hasn't been a single fish caught. This is the first section on Spessy Lake on the Burr. And we've just had a quick word with Andy Kinder, who's pegged down there, and he says he hasn't seen a single fish caught in this first 25 minutes in this section, so it's very, very tight. We know it's fishing hard on the Burr of Match Lake. As we look down now, there literally isn't a single angler playing a fish all right the way down. So it is flat calm, there aren't any fish moving at all, but the fishing is just as hard over here on Spessy Lake. We're going to head over onto the Shalley Bank over there, where it did fish even harder yesterday, just to find out if there have been any early fish caught over there. We've been fishing 45 minutes now, and I'm over here in front of the chalets over on the Spessy Lake, and as you can see behind me, it's absolutely flat calm. There hasn't been much wind blowing anyway, but certainly yesterday we think that made a huge difference. As you can see over there, over to where Jeff is over on that first peg, the wind is hitting it over there. There is a ripple, and you know, we're strongly expecting after yesterday's match that will make a difference. Over here we haven't seen a single fish caught. I've been here about 5 minutes. I haven't seen a single fish being caught at all. It's flat calm. There aren't any fish moving. But as we work our way further down this lake, I'm sure we're going to see 1 or 2 fish caught at that top end. But even in this first hour across all the complex, it's definitely fishing harder than we expected. We've been fishing an hour now, and the end peg there is Bogdan. He's not had anything yet. We're over here in front of the chalets. Fabian is one of the few anglers to have caught a carp. Fabian, he's had one about £5. That's the only fish he's had. Here with Alex, he's wound a skimmer off. That's the only sign he's had. Other than that, the only other person that we think's caught, we think Dave Wood, somewhere down there, has had a skimmer, and that is it. The only other fish that they've actually seen caught opposite has been a small carp and a couple of skimmers. So even after an hour, it's still fishing very, very hard. Hey, hail, morning mate. Any signs? Any signs? Not yet. Not yet. I like it how you say yet. I like it how you said yet. That's good. So working our way down towards this end now. Not many more anglers to go down this end. So this is 32. This is Steve. Any signs yet, Steve? Oh. Have we brought him one? He did that just as that swan were in front of his rod, and I thought, I hope it's not that swan. That's definitely not the swan. So we've actually seen a fish, which is good. We've only got, how many more anglers we've got down here? Not many more anglers to go. 3 more anglers after this, down to the left. Keep my eye on what's happening across. But this is the end where there were fish crashing. If you watch the previous stream, or the previous one where I was over on the Burr behind Alex Doherty there, you could see fish moving all out there in front, down the middle, and certainly down there where it isn't pegged. There were fish moving everywhere down there. Looking down to the left, I'm not seeing any fish being played at all. There aren't as many fish moving out there actually, like there were. Brilliant, well done mate. So that puts him in a great position on this bank. It's only the second carp caught now, and that is literally just coming up to the hour. Decent fish, nice one Steve. So if you're just joining us, there's only 2 carp caught that we know of on this entire bank, which is a very slow start yet. Any signs yet?
Nope, nothing, not even a line bite. Nothing.
Not even a line bite. Alright, keep going, keep going. And then as we get down this end, we've then got Waco and then Dale. So second from MPEG here is Adam Wakelin, who is playing a fish. We'll get an update from him in a second. That's a big fish, that is a big fish. That's the biggest one we've seen up to now. Or the biggest one that we've heard of over here, certainly on this bank. We've just seen Steve land one down there. And the only other carp that we know of is Fabian down, second from the MPEG. Well done mate. That your first one, Ads?
Yeah, for the weekend.
For the steady start then. That's the biggest one on this bank mate. There's only 2 others caught. So that is a proper unit. Don't need many of them when it's fishing hard, do you? So we're currently behind Adam Wakelin, and we've literally just seen him catch an absolute unit of a carp. The biggest carp that we've heard of being caught on this bank. He's just feeding his swim, but we've only seen at this stage, we've seen 1 carp caught right down at the bottom there, Fabian. He's got one about £5. We've just seen Steve here hook and land another one, which we caught on the live stream. So we actually caught that whilst we were actually live streaming. Adam's just had that big carp, which again was on the stream as well. And Dale here on the MPEG has also got a carp. He's got one about £7 or £8, he says. So you can see how close it is. But this is the end where we saw lots of carp moving early on. These are the pegs that are opposite Alex Doherty. As you can see, Dale just dropped that in short there on a short line. I'm not sure if that's where he's caught his fish, but these are the pegs that are opposite Alex Doherty and Sam Brown over there. Alex is on the end peg, Sam Brown we know has had an F1 over there. So all these anglers at this end are all fishing against each other. So after an hour, it looks like Waco's in front, certainly in this section. Waco's just had his carp, and to his right, he's just had his first bite and he's into his first fish. Doesn't look like a massive fish. There are lots of skimmers and bream in this lake, but there are some F1s as well. Some smaller stocky carp. He's on the method feeder. So he's off the mark, that's his first fish. This section's fishing super hard at the minute. 2 hour stage, we're seeing a lot more fish being caught here on Arena. Peg 1 is into a fish again, and over there peg 11. They're not all big fish, but there's definitely more fish to be had on Arena Lake. Peg 1's still fishing very short up to these reeds with a method feeder, super short range. Peg 2 on Arena is into a fish. This is the first one we've seen him catch, but we are sure he's had more because the pegs either side of him have been ticking over nicely. This has been the better end of this lake. Lots of features close in here. Some lads are fishing really close to them, but even if they're hooking the fish out in the open water, they've got to get them fish back and around those features, so there have been some lost fish, unfortunately. Over on Arena, and we've just seen, this is Dave on peg 2, and you can see where he's casting. He's not underarm in short range. I mean, that's long pole range, and we've just seen him caught, he's caught 3 in 15 minutes. Prior to that, he said he'd only got about 10 pounds, so it just shows how quick things can change. Chris has just hooked one whilst he's just lost another one. I don't know how many fish he's lost now. Chris, just approaching the halfway stage now, he was admitting to £35, which we think was best on this lake, but he has just had another fish about 2.5 pounds, something like that, so he's added to that, so we think he's doing best. Phil Canning down in this bottom corner, down on peg 3, he says he's got 15 fish, but they're all small. He didn't say what weight he might have, but he says he's not got enough weight to compete, but this one looks like it might be a slightly better fish. He's on peg 3, just going into that corner, but he has just said that he started off really well and it's just completely died on him now. But Chris has just been saying on peg 1 that when that wind dies, when the wind drops, it just dies on him. He can't get any bites. The only time he can catch anything is when that bit of a ripple's blowing in. Yeah, this must be a better fish, but the way that Phil's playing it, definitely seems more fish at this end of the lake. But we have seen anglers catch all the way around. Yeah, it's got to be a better stamp fish, that one. It's the halfway stage and we're back over on Spessy Lake. That's Alex Doherty there. And you can see the wind's dropped, the sun's come out. You might just be able to make out those big dark shapes. Those are all carp just laying there, obviously not interested in feeding at the moment. The last thing you really want on a feeder orientated match, isn't it? But can't say the fish are not there. Hopefully they're going to get their heads down at some stage. Just been commenting on how many fish there are cruising about out there. The ripples on it now, so you can't see them like they were, but Alex, it's definitely picked up for him. He's got 4 small fish. Well, he says small, but he's got 4 for about, small for here, £24 he's admitting to. F1s. So this is going to add to his £24 total. He's not fishing far out, he's only literally within long pole range. Not the great big carp that this lake's known for, but they're all welcome when it's fishing hard like this. So he was admitting to £24, that's plus that. but he says Sam Brown next to him. He's in front. He thinks Sam's got about £30. Well, Sam is admitting to £30, but Alex thinks he's got a little bit more than that. But one of Sam's fish, they reckon, is about £18. So he's obviously caught a couple of much bigger carp than Alex. Let's just have a quick look where Alex is casting. Not far out at all. That was his clip. Basically what he's done is he's taken his clip off when he's hooked that fish, so he's just clipping up. That's what he's doing now. Saves him going back to the sticks. He must have marked his line. So with so many fish moving around out there, obviously they're expecting them getting their heads down at some stage. It's not going to take much. I mean, £30 on here, that can literally be 2 bites, you know, and I've seen that happen a lot on here. Alex looks like he's just going to put a quick feeder full in by the looks of it with his bait hook rod. That's where he's clipped up, so it's only just past long pole range. 16 metres, something like that, I would say, 18 metres. We know Adam Wakeling opposite's caught, well, we saw him catch one, but I think he's had a couple more. Alex is just feeding another feeder full in. And then I'm sure he's going to cast straight over the top. Over on this side, we know Alan Noish, we're pretty sure that he's doing the best over here. On this peg here at the far end of the match burr. He's ticking over, he's been catching steady all day, so we're expecting Alan to be winning that section. We are into the final 2 hours, and in most cases every section is fishing really, really tight. It's wide open at this stage. We know at the top end of Spessy Lake, Alex Doherty's having a little bit of a battle there with Sam Brown at the next peg. We think Alex has got about £28, but he has got cruising fish around in front of him. You know, it's 12 feet deep up there, and some of the big fish up there are cruising just under the surface. So at some stage, it'd be nice if they decide to have a feed. Next to him is Sam Brown. He thinks Sam Brown's got a little bit more weight than him, possibly 32, 34 pound. Sam has got a single fish that's 18 pounds, so he hasn't had quite as many fish as Alex, but he's certainly had the quality. And they also say that Adam Wakeling opposite them has actually caught some more fish as well. But I'll be heading over there shortly to find out what's happening over there. Behind me is Match Lake, and this bottom end is fishing hard, just like expected. However, it looks like Phil Ringer in the red is actually doing the best down here. We think he's got about 10 fish, and that's a mixture of 1 or 2 small carp and some F1s. He's just ticked over nicely throughout the day. However, over here on this other bank, the anglers over here opposite are struggling as expected. Clive on the end peg is admitting to 20 odd pound. He's got 6 small carp. However, he's got fish that are just gasping in front of him. Their mouths are coming up, they're cruising just under the surface, and they're just out of reach. You know, he's not allowed to cast past that platform at the next peg. So those fish that you can see just under the surface, no matter how many of them there are, he cannot cast that far. So he's naturally hoping that those fish are going to move across at some stage and get their head down and feed. So it looks like Phil's winning this bottom section. The top section and the middle area it's fishing hard. It's wide open at this stage, and we strongly expect that end peg up there where Craig Tigswell is, up, you know, on peg 13, we're expecting that getting stronger, and where Gav Wright is as well. And Arena, they are still catching fish. So in most cases it's still wide open with 2 hours to go. I'm going to head over towards Spessy Lake on the Shally Bank now to find out if it's picked up over there. 90 minutes left now, and we're back over on the Shally Bank on Spessy Lake, and at the far end there, that is Bogdan. Bogdan's found 2 carp now, so we think he's doing the best over here. Looks like he's just underarming. There we go. He is on the end peg, but he can't go past that platform, so he can't go too far down to his right. He's got 2 carp now. Next one along is Fabian. He caught one early on, about 5 pound. He still hasn't caught another fish since then. He hasn't had a sign since then at all. Alex, the next one along, has got one carp, and the next one along here is Simon. Simon has lost one about 3 pound a carp, but he has actually managed to land one, and he says that one is about 12 pound, just close in down his margin. So it just goes to show that, you know, there are some huge fish in here, and we know that Sam Brown up there has had one, you know, well into double figures. So, you know, when a section's fishing as hard as this, anything can happen with just a couple of bites. So as far as we know now, right down here, the best is Bogdan with 2 carp. We're swiftly heading into the final hour. I'm over at the top end of the Spessy Shallybank, and whilst there have been 1 or 2 carp caught, in between there's literally nothing. Down at that bottom end there's about 4 single carp caught. Then you get to Dave Wood at the bottom of the ramp, he's got 2 skimmers. The next lad to him, Gary's not caught yet. Next one to him is Charlie Simpson, he's had 2 skimmers and 2 roach. Next one to him I think is Jason, he's not caught yet. And then as we get down here towards where Mick Viles is, I think he's got 2 skimmers. This is the far end, and Waco's just netting a fish there by the looks of it. Waco thinks, I spoke to him about 10 minutes ago, he said he got about 25 pound, so he's ticking over really nicely. He said he got 3 carp. He caught another one, he caught his third one about 15 minutes ago, and on that end peg there he's got a couple of carp and a skimmer. I think he's underarming, as you can see. We can't go past that next peg, but there are fish, as he says, all the way down that far bank that are out of reach where that wind's blowing across. There are loads of fish cruising about. So Adam's doing really well here now. It's ticking over the nice. It's gone flat calm out there now, as you can see. So Adam is looking like the favourite at this top end. We're into the final hour, and you're looking over at the first couple of pegs over on the Spessy Burbank. The angler on your right is Jeff. Jeff's on the end peg, and we're pretty sure he's been winning this section for the last couple of hours. He hasn't caught loads of fish, probably only half a dozen, and they're not really big fish. They're not the big carp that were caught on that peg yesterday by George Parker. They are F1s. We think he's had 1 carp, but in blue, in the centre of the shot now, is Kieran Rich. We think he's got another fish, but he's been playing this fish now for a few minutes, so it's obviously telling you that this must be a good fish. And if it is one of those proper carp, it's not going to take many of them to catch Jeff up. If his are only those smaller F1s. We think Jeff's fish were caught down to his left, towards that platform on his left hand side. But he is feeding short, as you can imagine, now going into this final hour. But this must be a good fish. For how long Kieran's been playing this fish, and with an hour left, there's still plenty more time for more of these to be caught. Opposite the 2 pegs that you're looking at now, over in front of the shallies, Fabian, who's second from the end peg next to Bogdan. Bogdan's on the end. Bogdan was winning that section. He's been winning it for the last 2 or 3 hours with 2 fish. Arp had only had the 1, but in the space of 10 minutes Fabian hooked and landed 2 carp by fishing short. So Fabian's now got 3, and he's now winning over there now. So it just shows you how quick things can turn around. And like I say, if Jeff's fish are on the smaller side, then it's not going to take as much to catch him up if people can find these bigger specimen carp, which it looks like this is what Kieran's playing. And whilst we're actually filming Kieran playing that fish, if we zoom over, it looks like Fabian has got another one. This literally is how quickly things can change. Bogdan on the end there, still sitting there with 2 fish, feeding his lines, hoping he's going to get another visit. But Fabian nets that one, that's going to put him on 4 carp, and he's going to be the easy leader in that section. Well, that didn't come in the right way, did it? And that is a proper fish, isn't it? No wonder he was taking his time with that. He's still playing his, so that's suggesting that this is another big fish as well. As he's playing this, we're scanning left and right just to see if there are any other fish being caught at this stage, but there just isn't. There aren't anybody else playing fish at the minute. He's got it. We're currently back behind Jeff, and he's got a bit of a ripple on it now. but we have seen an arrival. We were live streaming just a few minutes ago, and in front of that platform you could see fish clouding up. There were a couple of fish laying there, and he's just had 2 fish in quick succession in the space of 10 minutes. So he's definitely gone back in front in this first section, but with 40 minutes left, who knows what this swim is capable of producing now that if those fish have arrived down that margin. Craig has just hooked another one down his margin. He's just hooked this fish literally right where those stumps are, where those posts finish. He cast it about 1 metre from the bank. It's only been in there a couple of minutes. And his previous cast, whilst we were live streaming, he hooked another good fish down there and landed it. So this will be his second fish in the space of about 5 minutes. We know that he's got around 50 pound anyway, and he's had 2 fish whilst we've been here. So we think he is leading now, this top end. This is peg 13 at the top end of the grass bank, Match Lake. Gav has just netted a fish as well. Gav's got 40 to 50 pound, and he's just had one about 3 pound. So it could be really close between these 2 anglers. It looks like this end of the section is definitely fishing better than the middle of the bank pegs down to our left. But the amazing thing is you're not seeing any fish really down that margin. You know, they're not really breaking the surface and showing like they are normally. There's a few bubbles there, that's where he's just hooked a fish, but considering how shallow it is down there, it's amazing how the fish aren't giving themselves away. So we're expecting Craig to have got great points today. Now for those anglers that have fished on Match Lake today, and the anglers that have fished on Arena, tomorrow they will be going over to Spessy Lake. And all the anglers that have fished Spessy Lake today will be coming over, and they will draw pegs either on here on Match Lake or on Arena over there. And those pegs will be drawn in the morning. Let's just see, I'm assuming he's going to go back to that same spot, down in line with those posts. Just underarming it, there we go. And it's amazing, you know, for how shallow it is down there, you're not seeing any real signs of fish. I wouldn't be surprised if you went and hooked a third in the third cast. Gav's into another one. It's going to be a real battle between these 2 anglers going into these final few minutes. Robbie's just had a couple of late fish as well. In his final few minutes, we know he's going to have done well as well in this end section. This fish has been spooked down there, down where Craig's fishing. That's 3 in 3 casts. You could win this section now with this fish. There's literally about a minute to go. That's it, it's the end of day 1. This fish could do it for Craig. We're going to find out. It's going to be close between him and Gavin on his left. Well done, mate. That is the end of day 1, and as always we know it's been a very, very close affair. We've seen those fish caught at the top end where Craig and Gav is, and you know, who knows how close it's going to be between those 2. Down at this bottom end, Phil Ringer has had a fantastic finish. He had a period where he's gone down his margin, he's seen fish in those shallow water just like lots of other anglers have, and they just haven't been able to catch them. He's decided with a few minutes to go to no longer chase those shadows, as they say, and he's gone back out onto his 6 metre line, and he's had 2 big carp later on. He's had one about 6 pound and another one possibly double figures, so he's hoping that's going to be enough to secure the section win in this bottom section. As regards over on Spessy Lake, we don't know what's happened over there. So each bank has got a set of scales, so each set of scales is going to weigh the whole of each bank. So we're not going to know the result until we get back into the lodge, where Phil Briscoe and Julian will be in there to work out the result after day 1. We knew it was going to be a close weigh-in. We've actually decided to follow the scales down on the Match grass bank, and that was a full live stream, and all the way down it's thrown up quite a few surprises. At that top end we thought the MPEG was going to win it up there, but there'd been some better weights coming back down this way, just past or this side of the island, which was a really big surprise. Down here Phil Ringer has got the top weight on this bottom end of this section, but Lee on this MPEG has literally only been about £3 behind him. That's how close it is, and it sounds like it's unconfirmed that Clive over there, who's been in that on that MPEG over there, that he possibly has had it even more than Phil, so he could be the section winner. So we're going to be working the results out now nice and quickly for everybody, and we know it's going to throw up a few surprises. Certainly the last 90 minutes we haven't heard anything from the Burbank on Spessy, and we don't really know how many more carp were caught on that far bank. We know that Sam Brown, it slowed down for him at the top end of the Spessy Burr, but Alex Doherty caught a couple more fish, so he's done well in his section. But until we get the full boards back, we're not actually going to know what the full final point scores are. So we know there's lots of anglers looking forward to tomorrow. The anglers are changing lakes tomorrow, so we know it's going to be another exciting draw at 9 o'clock in the morning. This is day 2 and we've seen a dramatic change in the conditions. Overnight we've had loads and loads of rain, we've had thunder, lightning, the air pressure's changed and the wind's dropped, but as you can see it's raining now. It is forecast to be in pretty much for the day, so this is obviously changing the way that some of the anglers are going to be tackling today's event. We've got anglers that really crashed out yesterday, unfortunately, with some heavy points, so those anglers are really going to be focusing on trying to win their section. However, we've got anglers that are on 1, 2 and even 3 points that potentially have still got a chance of winning this competition, so as always we know it's going to come down to the draw. What do you reckon, Chris?
Yeah, happy with that.
Good day yesterday?
Yeah, good day yesterday, yeah.
On 1 point?
1 point, one section. 26. I want to be on Shally Bank. I don't really care where it's to on Shally Bank because I think it's you can catch some fish there, can't you? So that's the main thing. But yeah, we'll have a good day, I reckon.
Good luck, mate.
Fish.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh man. Has drawn Spessy 28.
Well, mate. Alex, any good, mate?
I'm on 6 on Arena. It's where Mara were yesterday. He was second, so take your chance, won't you?
Yeah, good luck, mate.
Cheers, pal.
Any good, Matt?
29 match.
Fancy it?
Not sure where it is, to be fair.
Right.
Be the middle, I think. So we'll see.
Any good, Andy?
No good.
No, what are you drawn?
On the match grass pants.
Rubbish. Good morning, Phil. It's day 2. We've got very different conditions, haven't we, today? How do you think that's going to affect the fishing?
Yeah, well, good morning, Jamie. Fishing, I don't know. I mean, look, we had a reasonable day, quite mild yesterday, bright sunshine. Fishing tended to be sort of delayed reaction, if that's the way to put it. I mean, a lot of fish caught late on in the matches, on both the Spessy and the Match Lake, down the eddies in particular. There were some big fish caught, and you went from 0 to hero on many of the pegs. Now, today, it's a totally different day. To be fair, it's quite cold, and it's very, very overcast, as you can probably see. We've had a lot of rain overnight, so I think it'll make it tough to start with, I think. But that being said, on the Spessy Lake in particular, there were areas where there was a lot of carp showing. Everybody's fishing on the bottom with a feeder, and all these fish are swimming around sort of shallow. Now, there's no signs of fish swimming shallow this morning, so that rain and the cooler temperatures No doubt's put them down. It's certainly put them down. And if they haven't moved, those bottom end pegs on the Spessy Lake, you know, pegs 26, 27, 28, 29, lower pegs, might have a right birthday.
As this is day 2, we're obviously keeping our eyes on certain anglers. Certainly the section winners from yesterday, but anglers that were 2nd and 3rd in their sections. Interestingly, behind me on Match Lake, we've got 3 section winners that are all in a line basically on the same bank. We've got George Parker, who's drawn peg 5. He was a section winner. We've got Craig Conlon and Fabian. Now, out of those, most people are predicting that Fabian is the favourite. He's drawn the end peg 13, which is where Craig Tidswell was yesterday. He's got a very experienced angler sat with him, Shemek, who does very, very well on this event. And we're really predicting that Fabian is certainly the favoured angler going into the match right from the outset. We've then got other anglers that are on 2 points and 3 points, and we're going to be watching them all the way around the complex. We've got other section winners over on Spessy Lake. Those are the anglers that were over here on Match Lake and Arena. We've got Clive. Fantastic to see Clive Garlick, you know, win his section yesterday. He's absolutely over the moon just to be in this competition. It's not the type of event he normally takes part in, you know, and he was calling himself a club angler all day yesterday, and yet he still went on and won his section. He beat Phil Ringer, and he's actually drawn the end peg today right over on the far bank of Shalley Bank on the end peg where Bogdan was yesterday. So he's given himself a great chance. The other 2 section winners from yesterday ironically have drawn next peg to each other over on the Spessy Burr, and they are the end 2 pegs. You've got Alan Norrish, who won his section yesterday. He's drawn the end peg right at the top end on peg 28, and then the angler to his left is Chris Ware, who won his section on Arena on the first peg there. So that could prove to be a really interesting battle. But we know that it's not all about section winners. Anybody with 2, 3 or even 4 points could be within a chance. We've just spoken to the event organiser Phil Briscoe, and he predicts that even as high as 10 points could actually get you into a 10th place position overall. Been fishing 15 minutes. We're currently behind Alan Norrish on this end peg, and just walked all the way round, right from Match Lake along the Match grass bank. We haven't seen a single fish caught. We've just headed over onto Arena. We saw 2 fish caught there a few minutes ago, and that's the only 2 fish that we've seen caught. Alan's not had any signs here. Next peg to him is Chris. He's not had any signs yet, and same for Adam Rooney, who's next to him. And as we pan all the way down the Burr, certainly on Spessy Lake, I can't see a single fish being played. We haven't seen a fish caught, and that's the same over here on the Match Lake Burr. You've got Sam Brown, which is the first angler that you can see on this end peg, and we can see right the way down, and there isn't anybody playing a fish. So with all that rain that we had, because of the drop in temperature, it looks like the predicted slow start is exactly what we're actually seeing at this stage. With the exception of 1 fish, which we've seen Fabian caught on Match Lake, Arena has been the steadiest lake for a few early fish, but most people are still blanking. This is peg 1, and we've seen peg 2 catch, and we've actually seen Wayne Sharman, who's on peg 3 down there, catch as well. Other than that, we haven't seen any other early fish caught other than on that far bank over there. But even though Arena Lake has been fishing the best, this is it's a slow start on here as well. Andy Kinder there, just putting a small fish in the net. I'm not sure if that's his first. He's got a bit of a breeze blowing into him over there, hasn't he? Just coming up to that first hour, this is Clive on the end peg in front of the Shalleys. He's actually found a carp about £6. He was a section winner from yesterday, so he's one of the anglers we're keeping our eyes on. So it's great that he's off to a great start, but obviously with it being an end peg, anything can happen. And as we're actually filming, this is peg 42, and we've literally just walked past him, and he said that this is Martin. He'd had a liner, and we did joke saying, well, at least there is one there, and he's gone and hooked one literally as I'm walking past. So if he lands this at the end of this first hour, this will be the third carp that's been caught on this whole bank, but all 3 carp have been caught in front of the Shalleys down this high bank, literally from where Martin is now, going right the way back, right the way down to that bottom end. There has been 1 skimmer caught, incredibly. A couple of anglers have had liners, but there's only 1 skimmer. Nobody's had a sign of a carp, but even down there, just like Chris has just said to me on the end peg to my right, they are seeing fish crashing out there in the middle. So there are fish out there in front of them. We did expect a slow start, and that's exactly what's happened. And obviously Martin's hoping he's going to get this one. The other carp that's caught is a 15-pounder. And then Clive's had the one about £6. And that is the third one that's been caught in this first hour over here in front of the Shalleys. The other angler who's caught that big carp is Justin. He's just there. He's only had that 1 bite, but it was a 15-pounder, so the size of these fish is going to be mega. It's going to be interesting to see where Martin's caught this one. Most of the other lakes, most of the anglers are just underarming, but this is a very different lake. Oh, and as you can see, he's going out into the open water. That's about 40 metres, I would say, on a method feeder. But this lake is very different from the others. Just at the other end of Spessy Lake now, and as you can see, it's flat calm. But if I zoom in, just like at the other end of the lake, just look at all those fish there. They're all congregating. Exactly the same is happening at the other end of the lake. However, the wind is hacking down into that bottom end, so they've got a lot more cover, but there isn't any cover here whatsoever. But just look at how many fish are up and down these margins here. You can see how they're stirring up the water as well. I'm currently behind Steve Brindley. He's had 1 fish, about £4. That's the only one he's had. However, having just spoken to the anglers, that is the only fish that's been caught right the way along this Spessy Burbank. And one of the anglers has just spoke to an angler on peg, I think he said it's peg 11. That could be Phil. I don't know if that's Phil Canning down there. And he says there hasn't seen a single fish caught from him right down to the right either. Right down to that far end where we were earlier behind Alan Norrish. So it's a much harder start than yesterday. Just coming up to the 2 hour stage, and that is George Parker, section winner from yesterday. And we think that's his first fish. Just coming up to this 2 hour stage, he's fishing incredibly hard, particularly down this bottom and middle end of the match grass bank. I've just seen a fish caught there, second peg in. He's just had a carp, it looked about £4, something like that. And Jason down there on the end peg, he's had 1 bite, he's hooked a fish and lost it. So that is how hard it's fishing down here. From what we know, it's fishing just as hard over there. Young Charlie, from what we hear, hasn't caught yet. And it's the same across all those pegs along that other bank. As we work our way down this grass bank, there are anglers here that just literally, they've either had a skimmer or a couple of tiny little skimmers, or they just haven't caught. As we get down towards the bottom end though, we have heard that it's fishing a little bit better, going down to where the favourite angler is for today. The angler who won his section yesterday, that's Fabian, who's on the end peg 13. But as we get further down here, particularly the next angler, that is Andy Power. Andy Power's not even had a bite yet. After 2 hours, he hasn't had a single indication. However, next to Andy is Chris. Chris is just ticking over nicely. He's got an F1, he's got a carp and a couple of skimmers. So he's at least off the mark in this tough section. To the right of him, we know that there has been 2 carp caught on the point of that island. We think casting across there with a method feeder towards the island. which is a great start. But as we work our way further down, all three anglers down there have caught. And literally, just as we've approached Fabian on this end peg, just like last time I was here, he's actually up to fish. We filmed him on the live stream a few minutes ago. Whilst we were actually streaming, we found out that he caught 2 F1s, but while we were streaming he actually hooked another fish while we were filming him, so that took him to 3 F1s. He's fishing about 8 metres out from the bank, slightly to his right, just underarming it. So if he lands this one, we know that he's definitely got 4 fish minimum. They're not carp, they are F1s, but at this stage in such a hard section, you know, it's you just got to take whatever you can and just try and keep putting fish in the net. As you can see, they're not huge fish, but when your section's fishing so hard, you've got to take everything you can, and if you can find any better carp or a late run of fish, then at least you've got some weight to go with that. But Fabian's peg is one that we think will get stronger, particularly if this wind keeps blowing down like this. And you know, he is, after 2 hours, he's still most people's favourite to win this event. It's the halfway stage and we're currently behind Clive, and amazingly he hasn't had any more indications. He had that carp early on, about £6, and yes, it's just as hard as it was then. It's just proving to be a very, very close section, just like it is all around the complex. Next peg, got 1 carp, then there's another carp, and then Justin's down there's got one that's £15. So they are just single fish. So this end section, whilst it is fishing hard, it's incredibly tight. Even right the way down there, bottom of the ramp there, he's just got 2 skimmers. Next to him is Phil Ringer, he's just got 2 skimmers, that's it. Then you've got a couple of anglers who haven't even had a bite. But then as you get right the way down the bottom, down there where Les is, on that end peg, he's got 2 small carp, the next peg's got 2 small carp. And then there are 3 anglers that have got a single carp and a skimmer. So, you know, the fish are spread all the way out, really, right the way down the length, but it's just single fish really that's dominating at the minute. But you know, literally 1 bite could turn it all around. So even over the halfway stage, which is where we are now, it's still completely wide open. We are heading into the final 90 minutes and there has been very little change. We're used to these matches going right to the wire, but by this stage, you know, even with a slow start, we would have expected it picking up much more than it has, and it hasn't. You know, there are some anglers still struggling, some anglers haven't caught yet. There are lots of anglers with just 1 fish. I'm over on the match grass bank at the moment. Just down there is Andy Power. Andy has literally just had his first bite and he's got a skimmer. He's fishing incredibly hard. However, the further down you go on this grass bank, down towards where Fabian is, on peg 13 on the end, it does get slightly better once you get towards the island. Chris, who's on the right of Andy Power, he's got 4 or 5 fish now, he's doing quite well. But then as you get down towards the island, down there, it is picking up a little bit. So Fabian at the moment is still the favourite to win. We're hoping it's going to pick up, and it usually does. However, we're not expecting it to change drastically, but it would be very out of character for this venue for it not to pick up, even if it went right into that final 30 minutes. So even at this stage, even though we are watching section winners like George here, he's in a hard section. 1 good fish here could change it all around for him and get him right back in it. So even at this stage, we haven't got a clue who could be potentially winning at this stage. But with 90 minutes to go, whatever we think right now could be very, very different from the end of the match. Literally, as we turn around, I've just looked round onto peg 2 on Arena, and we're seeing a fish being landed there. You can see how much cover there is just to the left of this peg. So many lily beds and stems there, loads and loads of features, and that's where most of the people yesterday caught their fish, close to features like that. But as you'd expect, they were losing quite a few as well. Yeah, not a huge fish, but you're not needing many fish with the way it's been fishing up to now. And we are just currently watching Alan Norrish, the section winner from yesterday. He's down here at the far end of the Bure. Now he has actually managed to find 2 carp, but unfortunately for him, they're not those really big carp that this lake is known for. He reckons that both carp are actually going to go for about £11, which is not much for this lake. But he is doing well at this end of the Bure. Next to him is Chris, the other section winner from yesterday. He hasn't even had a bite yet. He's had one line bite, that is it, all day going into this final hour. So he's obviously hoping that that's going to pick up. On his left is Adam Rooney. He's just netted a fish, not a huge fish, looked about 4 or 5 pound. So, you know, it is fishing even hard right down here at this end of the Burr. And over the back behind them, there is Sam Brown. Now Sam Brown's on the peg that won the section yesterday where Alan Norrish was, and as you can see he is actually playing a fish now. Now whilst we expected that peg to get stronger, which it obviously still could going into this final hour, I spoke to him 2 minutes ago and he said he'd only got 10 pound. So he's a long way behind Fabian. Fabian's admitting to 60 pound at this stage. The angler on his left, Alex, is admitting to 25, but the next angler is admitting to 56 pound. So Sam with 10 pound is a long way behind that, but he only needs an arrival with an hour to go and he could easily make that weight back up, but that's only if Fabian stops catching. He's got it. We are into the final hour. I'm over here in front of the chalets, as you can see, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I am, and that is that since my last visit here an hour ago, virtually nothing has changed. I'm amazed. I know we've still got an hour to go, and that can be the best hour of the day. There's less than 20 minutes left, and we're currently behind Jason, who's on this end peg on Match Lake on the grass bank. Every fish is going to be so important, especially in this bottom section because it's so tight. If reports are right, we were told that possibly only 4 or 5 fish are actually winning this section at the moment. Now I'm not sure how many fish Jason's got. He has gone a good 2 or 3 hours without a fish. He did unfortunately lose the first fish that he hooked. Hopefully he's not going to lose this one. And in a section that's as tight as this, that's a decent stamp fish as well. Every fish is going to be so important, especially for Jason, because after a tough day yesterday, I'm sure he'd love to finish on a section win. There's only a couple of minutes left and we're just looking across at Mick Viles. Mick was in the really tough section yesterday over on Spessy Lake, where there were very few carp and even fewer skimmers or anything like that feeding. It was really tough where they were on the far bank, on the chalet bank. There's only literally a few minutes left and Mick's into one now. We're not really sure how many Mick's got, but he is in this bottom section where it's fishing really hard. So again, he's not going to need many fish. If he has managed to put a few fish in the net up to this stage, then this could be a really important fish for him to try and secure that section win to finish the weekend on a high. He's got it. That is it. The 2 days of competition are over. We've got to openly admit, whilst we think Fabian may have done enough to get a perfect 2-point score, we don't actually know if anyone else is going to get that same 2-point score.
Right, well, there's been a few surprises today, I can see that. The table's gone up and down a little bit. In 10th place, with 7 points, picking up £300, Phil Ringer. Well done. In 9th place, on 7 points, is Bogdan Mester. Hold on, I can give you money as well, mate. There you go. Well done, mate. Well done. Well done. In 8th place, with a point score of 6, Martin Carpenter. Trophy and your watch. Cheers. Well done, Martin. There's a pound in there. In 7th place, with a point score of 5. I've got 3 point scores of 5 here, so this is done obviously inferior weight upwards. So first on 5 points is Justin Edison. And the trophy Very well done. Well done, Justin. Well done, Justin. Right, on 5 points. In 6th place overall is Vic Molyneux. 2,000 quid. Very well. You can have a note. You can have a go. Your trophy and your box. Follow Victor. 5 garlic. Everybody, well done. Delighted for this gentleman. I've been rooting for him, I don't know why. In 4th place overall, with a point score of 4, Wayne Sharman. Hey! Check out £3 and your trophy and your box. Wayne Sharman, everybody! Right, in 3rd place, I can't speak. 3rd place, clear 3rd, Alan Norris! Well done, mate. Your trophy and your box. Well done, Alan Norris. Well done, Les Marshall. Hey. 2 points. Give this to the babbies. £6 is picked up there, plus your trophy. Go on, Les. Runner up. Runner up, Les Marshall. Give it up. Fished a perfect match, 2 points, not put a foot wrong, fished a superb match, really nice guy as well, I'm delighted for him. 2025 Golden Rod Feeder Champion, Fabian Harper!
Fabian, massive congratulations, well done, mate.
Thank you.
I don't suppose you'd like to share with us a little bit about the tactics?
Yeah, on the first day I was on Chalet Bank, pegged 43 if I'm not wrong, so 2nd from the end. It was a really hard match. I had a carp first chuck, it was a small one, and then I couldn't catch anything else down the middle. Went short, couldn't catch anything, and it only like I think hour and a half left when I had my first fish down the edge. I had another 5 and then I lost one, a really big one at the net.
Wow.
And that nearly cost me the section because Bogdan on the end peg, he had 2 big carp late, and I had 59 pound and he had 53. And the next day I drew a really good peg, match grass bank, the end peg, and I thought I will have a lot of fish there, 200 pound at least. I was so happy. Yeah, and I couldn't catch actually. I started really low, started really slow. I was underarming the feeder, getting a few F1s, skimmers, small carp. Maybe my biggest fish was maybe 3 pound. And then yeah, in the last hour we had a few better fish, but again long, we couldn't catch anything down the edge. It was a really strange day, but yeah, it was just enough.
Fantastic, massive congratulations, well done, mate.
Thank you so much.